The soldier was planning something big in secret. First, he took a small knife and cut his own photo out of a sheet. Then he waited until the office clerk stepped out to stamp some papers. He quickly opened a drawer and pulled out a blank pass. He pressed his photo onto the blank space. But a photo alone was useless. Without the official stamp, the paper was trash. He tried for a long time to copy the red seal. He could not leave even a faint red mark. He gritted his teeth. He climbed through a window and slipped into the commander's office. He used a pen to pry open the commander's safe. He took out the real stamp and pressed it onto the pass. Now everything looked perfect. As he walked down the path, every hair on his body stood up. Two guards stared at him as if he were an escaped prisoner. The man thought fast. He straightened his back and walked toward them without hurry.
잘하네. 불시점검 나왔어.
The guards were startled and stood still. They did not ask more questions. He borrowed a pair of binoculars and looked around. Watchtowers and patrol teams were everywhere. No one could slip away in daylight. The only exit was the main gate. At that very moment, the officers were holding a dance. Drunk officers filled the roads. The man searched with sharp eyes. He found an unlocked car. The key was still in the ignition. He walked into the dance, lifted a drunk officer, and pushed him into the passenger seat. He pulled the cap low over his eyes and started the engine. If he passed the gate, he would be free. On the way, the officer suddenly patted his shoulder. The man froze in fear. The officer only wanted water. The car rolled through the gate without trouble. Half a mile later, the drunk officer demanded to stop and ran into a field to relieve himself. When they set off again, a convoy of army trucks came toward them. The trucks carried friendly soldiers, but the driver was now a deserter. Worse still, the fuel gauge was almost on empty. He had to stop and wait. The convoy turned and came straight at him. He stayed calm. He asked the lead officer to fill his tank. The officer asked for his pass. He slowly handed it over. The officer did not believe the story. A common soldier could not drive an officer's car alone. Army cars always left with full tanks. The officer reached for the phone to check. The man lowered his voice. He said he worked for the security team. He was taking a traitor to jail, and he spoke the traitor's name. The officer's face changed at once. Only a few men knew that name. The officer smiled and bowed. He invited the man back to the base for fuel. He treated him with great respect. The traitor was in fact the man's best friend. They had planned to escape together, but the friend had been caught. Luck stayed with the man. He not only got away, he also drove out with his friend beside him.